Good afternoon to everyone. I am Meenu Agarwal, Assistant Professor in NIET, sponsored by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Technical University. Now, I'd like to introduce our second speaker for the day, Dr. B.S Balaji. Dr. B.S Balaji is working as Associate Professor in the School of Biotechnology, JNU, Delhi. Dr. B.S Balaji has a total of 16 years of experience in research and teaching. Dr. Balaji has done postdoctoral research from Hokkaido University, Japan. He has also received international grant NIH ICMIC P50 from USA. Dr. Balaji is also working as a coordinator, Swayam Prabha, NPTEL channels, art and science subjects. He is also a resource person at UGC, HRDC, FDP, UGC Orientation Program, MHRD. His research interest includes gene targeting using radiopharmaceuticals, nanoparticles, aptamers, and solid phase peptide chemistry. Dr. Balaji is having several peer-reviewed publications in national and international journal and is also having several patents. We welcome you, sir. Kindly enlighten us with your thoughts.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your nice introduction. Can we start directly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Good morning and maybe good afternoon to one and all. So today I'll be talking about open educational resources. Ma'am, this can be an interactive session, and if somebody wants to ask some questions, they can actually interrupt in between and they can ask. There is no problem with that. Other than that, you can request all the participants to mute their mic, and whenever they have to ask questions, they can unmute it and they can actually ask the questions.
Okay, sir. Sure, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. I'll just give a brief introduction about what we have been doing in online thing for so far. Look, this is our first online course which was launched in JNU a couple of years back. This is our Vice Chancellor, Professor Jagdish Kumar, and this is myself explaining to him about the first initiative. So we have actually created the first online course in JNU, and this is mainly for our internal students. This is Professor Pavandar, who is our Dean of our department, and this is e-learning center person, and this is Rector too. So these are all the people who attended the meeting, and here's some media coverage about our first course, the e-learning course from our bioorganic chemistry was launched very first in 2018. And I also write a couple of articles in the newspaper to create awareness about what is the online resources available, and mainly for the students as well as for the faculty members, and how they can effectively utilize these available resources to enhance and maybe for the teachers to supplement their teaching learning activities. So this is the first article I wrote in Deccan Herald, and then I also wrote about Swayam MOOC courses. That's massive open online courses which were the initiative by Ministry of HRD back then and currently Ministry of Education. So there are thousands of courses which are available for the student to take. CEC, UGC are some of the national coordinators. IIT Madras is for the NPTEL courses, and these are either certificate-based one or credit transfer-based one. So I wrote an article about the common public and especially the students to know about what are all the things which are available for them openly and freely in the internet. And then we also wrote about the open book examinations. This came in Hindu. So what is the advantage of open book examination, and what are the challenges faced by the teachers specifically in conducting open book examination? So these articles are available on the net, and if somebody is interested, I can actually share it also. And in the online course, we have been offering a massive open online course in the Swayam portal for the couple of years. We started in 2019. This is mainly for the MSc Organic Chemistry first paper we have been offering. So first year, we got something like 3,600 students registered for the course. And in because of the popularity, we again offered it in January 2020. So there we got around 3,200 students. The main important point about our course is like even though students are registering for this course, first time in July we had around 250 faculty members who registered for this course to know about what are the fundamental principles that is very essential for a teacher to teach. So we have incorporated various Malcolm Knowles andragogy, modified Bloom's taxonomy, Richard Feynman technique, ADDIE models, and the Dick and Carey model. So some of them are basically related to digital teaching and learning processes, but how we can effectively teach an organic chemistry subject which people are really fearing in a very simple and easy way. And we have been focusing mainly on moving from the rote learning concept to concept-based understanding. So because of that, in January 2020, we had around 600 plus faculty members registered for the course. So we again offered in August 2020. At that time, we had around 2,700 students, and currently in January 21, we are again offering this course, which already 350 students had registered for this course. So this is becoming popular simply because the way in which we actually integrate the teaching learning process, and we also utilize how open educational resources can be easily integrated to your regular classroom teaching so that your workload is actually reduced. So that is what our main objective, and we have been promoting this quite. The main advantage what we have done in our course is basically we integrated augmented reality software, because this is a three-dimensional viewing of chemistry molecules, and we have just given a brief introduction like how the student can visualize the 3D molecules in their mobile phone. So we were the first one to introduce this in the online forum, and we also introduced crossword puzzles, because in the online classes, interactivity is very, very essential, and how we can actually make it much more interesting for the students. We have integrated these things. So this article appeared in Times of India. And during COVID lock, I also had expressed some of the viewpoints about whether this impact on COVID-19 lockdown is transient or transformational. And I also write articles on CEC, that is Center for Educational Communications. The best practices what a teacher can follow during the online lectures we have shared, and about the Swayamprabha we have been actually doing. Basically, the massive open online courses, what is we are talking about is mainly useful for the urban students where internet connectivity and the mobile phones are very easily available. Whereas if you take the rest of the country where rural populations are having very difficulty to receive internet connectivity as well as mobile phone network coverage. So how we can actually reach those people. So that is the greatest challenge we have been facing as a teacher. So to reach them, the best option was through TV medium. So this program, the Swayamprabha TV channel, there are 33 channels are there, which again is an initiative by the MHRD. So there we have created close to 500 hours of teaching learning materials for the students who could not actually go to school because of the lockdown. And during the, especially from March to as of today till December, we have created close to 500 hours of video for more than 30 or 40 courses for the BSc students mainly. So this was the interview I had given in the television, and this also had a media coverage. This was done in collaboration with IIT Madras. So some of these things are already available on the net. Those who are interested can go and get those informations. And I also write articles about the new education policy. So here I wrote about the critical thinking, the scientific pursuit of mastery, and SAMR and TPAC models, and the new educational policy. That means how we are moving from the physical classroom to the digital classroom, and the role of social media in propagating higher education through digital mode. These are some of the articles I regularly write, and the links are given below, and I'll also be sharing this presentation with you, so you can actually visit the website and get more information. And let us come to the our today's topic. What is open educational resource? And then we will be looking at why we have to use open educational resource. And we also will go through where we can find the open educational resource and how to use open educational resource. So this is our overall idea about how today's presentation is going to go. So what is open? I think all of you are aware like what is open. So maybe this is what Saurav Ganguly asking Sachin Tendulkar, hey Sachin, do you want to open? So is this the open we are going to talk about? Or maybe the can opener, or maybe the soda can opener, or it is the shop that is open for shopping, or it is the open book actually for the students to learn and the teacher to teach, or is it about the software, Word or any software which you are going to open? So the open has many different meanings. And what is the open which we are actually going to talk about today? So the basic definition for open can be written as the accessibility of the material and the availability of the materials, the freedom to modify. So this is the most important thing. See, there are plenty of information available in the internet, but are you permitted to use it and are you permitted to modify this? This is the major question that is being asked by many people. If I can simply copy paste from some other source, that is not called as open. I should have the freedom to modify, because as a teacher, you actually know that what is available may or may not be in the right form for your students' understanding. So you do need to modify some of the things, maybe tailor make that to fit into your classroom teaching. So the open should give you freedom to modify that. So this is the most crucial part as a teacher we do need to know. And then affordability, like when we say open, if it is easily accessible, that means it should be free. Like, I mean, you don't have to spend any penny from your pocket to get those materials. So these are called the open source materials. So as educational institutions, basically we are called non-government not for profit organization. So that means we are not supposed to make any profit. So in that case, how do we actually have to subscribe to something, or if we have to purchase something, how do we get that money from? So these are the major questions that is being asked, because if a university or college has hundreds of teachers, then if everybody wants some particular software or particular material to be used, then the expenses amount to a huge amount. So in that case, how effectively the organization can manage this? So that is where the open educational resources comes into rescue. There are plenty of open books are available in the net, and we can actually make use of them in the regular classroom teaching learning process. So I'll be today talking about the many resources that are available within India and a few resources which are available abroad, which you can actually use it effectively. So that's what we will be covering in this today's session. And what is educational? We talk about educational, everybody knows it's a classroom setup. And if it is an industry, we don't call that as a educational setup. It is basically a training. So these are all the major two areas where people are taught how to do something. And the resources, you know, either it can be a digital resource or maybe a physical resource. Today, we will be mainly focusing on the digital resource aspect. So what is open educational resource? The basic dictionary definition or the UNESCO definition is given here. So I don't, you can actually read it, so I don't want to go through each line by line. But the most important thing is like open licenses that permit no cost access. So that means it is absolutely free for you to access it and use it. You also should be permitted to use that, and adaptation and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. So these are all the most crucial part of the open educational resources. So if you are also contributing to the creation of open educational resources, then, because when we say knowledge, knowledge cannot be stolen by somebody else. That is what we say. It cannot be burnt, or it doesn't dissolve in water. So that is what people say. Like, I mean, it is available to that person, and the more and more they share, it is like a happiness it keeps on doubling, because by giving to other people, you don't lose that happiness. The same way educational knowledge is also very similar to that. By giving to others, you don't lose it. You actually gain even more than what you have actually shared with others. So that is the reason we should be having the free mind, open mind to share our resources with other people also. So that is what is given here, the definition from the UNESCO. Now, what are the different types of open educational resources? When we talk about content, it can be the entire course material that is available, or maybe few lecture notes that are available, or maybe the presentations which is available. If you visit the website and type some in the Google, you type whatever may be the topic with .pdf or PPT, then there will be n number of information which will be coming to you. Like you can actually go through that, and some of them even allow you to download and use it for your educational purpose. See, there is a, I'll also be talking about one particular case about this Delhi University Xerox case in the later part. But now I have to touch upon one important thing, because when we talk about classroom teaching, basically there are lots and lots of flexibility that is given to classroom teaching, because R&D setup, when you talk about, the government of India had given you lots of permission to use even the proprietary material to be used for educational purposes free of cost. So the government of India had empowered the teaching learning process to be the most effective by removing lots of barriers which were actually previously prevented by many people, that it cannot be used by other people, is permitted to be used by a teacher in the classroom teaching. So if you want to talk about, say for example, if you are a artistic person and you want to talk about a particular painting, that it may be protected by copyright, doesn't matter. You can also talk about the music, you can talk about the creation of songs. So many of the things are copyright protected, still they can be used for the classroom teaching learning purpose. As long as it is for the physical classroom teaching learning purpose, there is nothing like a copyright or prevention which is enforced on these kind of things. So the government of India had given lots of freedom for the teacher to use it in the physical classroom. But the major problem is there is nothing which is talked about if you are going to a digital classroom, because still the rules and regulations are not very clear whether whatever you can do it in the physical classroom, is it equally permitted for you to use it in the digital classroom? No. The answer is a big no, because still there are lots of questions that has to be answered, and this is one of the reason, like the open educational resources, especially in the digital forum, becomes very, very important, because it should be exclusively mentioned in the material that you are free to use it. Then only you can use it for the digital platform. But for the classroom, the physical one, it's permitted, whether they have any protections or there is no protection. As long as you are using it as a case study, as long as you are using it for the classroom discussion, it is freely permitted. So that is the reason you have to know the difference between whether you are going to use it for your physical classroom or for the digital classroom. So there are few restrictions applied, especially for the digital classroom. You have to be very careful when you talk about copyright and other materials. So that is the reason when we say open educational resources, these are free to use for the classroom purpose. And what are the tools available? Open source softwares and open access LMS are available. Moodle is an example, and I'll be talking about few of the open source software that was created by the Government of India's funding. Is there any doubt so far, or can I move forward? Ma'am, is there any doubt for anybody, or can I move forward?
Yes, sir. You please continue, sir.
Okay, sure. Thank you. So the next question is why we have to use open educational resources. Simply because you can get resources that are up to date. So this is free, easy to use, and that's the reason you can actually use it. And these are mainly up to date information, so you can actually use it and integrate it along with your regular classroom teaching activities. And it is free or no cost, and many times you can actually get the very high quality informations which can be used very specifically for your current course. In fact, I generally look at many of the YouTube videos and many articles which are published in the internet, which are cutting edge technology, can be simply used for our regular classroom teaching activities. So that is the reason I always use many of the open educational resources. So these are basically, this will supplement our regular teaching learning activities, because otherwise if I have to create the entire thing, I have to spend a lot of money. Of course, I come from a subject which is experimental oriented subject, chemistry. So here, if I have to do something, then I do need to do that experiment and get the data, and which is quite an expensive process. And unless we have the resources, unless we have the instruments, unless we have the facilities, it is not that easy to create many of the things which I actually want to teach in my class. But if the same material is available in the open educational resource, then it becomes much easier for me. I can simply inform the students, okay, those are all the informations available in the net. Please go or visit those sites and watch these videos. So those kind of information we can share it very easily, so that it reduces the burden on me in teaching a very specific topic, where the experts in the entire world had given the most up-to-date information on that particular topic. So this actually reduces our workload. The only thing is, yes, you do need to identify the source. So that is where your search options comes into picture. If you, because there are plenty of information in the internet, and how do you know what is the information you actually want to use? So this is a big challenge which is being faced by many of the people. So we do need to identify the right resources. And once we know the right resources, then we can actually tell our students, okay, go and visit these sites, and these are really good. For us, there is a little bit of effort required from the teacher side also, because you do need to look at the various resources and identify the best one for the students to learn. Then it can also supplement your lectures. So that is what is the major advantage we have. And since it is easy to get, it saves lots of your time and effort to make it, especially for people like us who are working in the experimental area. This is like a boon, like if you can get some open educational resources with good experimental explanation, then say, for example, if I have to talk about nuclear magnetic resonance, this instrument costs like a crores of rupees. I cannot simply afford and buy an instrument and show to my students, okay, how the NMR works. But if there is an internet video which actually talks about how the instrument works, then it's much easier for me to just share that video with my students and tell them, okay, go and watch this video. So here they have talked about how to set up a nuclear magnetic resonance analysis for your sample and how you prepare the sample. Okay, then how do you get the data and how do you interpret the data? Because interpreting the data is my main objective. That I can do. But how do I get the data beforehand? So that is where we can get this open educational resources. And once we know that it is available, it is also easy to share with all the other people. So that is the advantages of open educational resources. Now you will be asking the question, so if so much things are easily available, then why we people are not using it? Okay, I'll come to that little later. So again, everything has pros and cons. So I'll talk about few of the limitations. Sometimes whatever is available in the internet is not the gospel's truth. Like, I mean, you cannot take it for granted. You have to take it always with a pinch of salt. So in other words, you do need to cross verify the authenticity and quality of that material, whatever you are going to share. Because if you know there is some information available, you have to, as a teacher, we have to cross verify that whether it is an authentic information. Say somebody put something simply because it got maximum views. that doesn't mean that that is actual information, because if you look at the fake news, there are plenty of fake news. And how do we know whether it is a real news or a fake news? Then it is the person who is going to consume it should know whether it is a fake news or the real one. The same way, if you are going to give that information to other people, then you do need to confirm and check the authenticity of the information before you share it. So this is one of the responsibility of the teacher, that we have to do that. Then sometimes there are information which are available which is actually not relevant to my subject. Say for example, you talk about government policies on something, say discussion on the current farmers bill. So if somebody wants to talk about that, half the information is available, but it may be given by different experts in different ways. Then, but for your classroom teaching, you actually want a very specific topic, but that specific topic may not be available, but the policy may be talking about overall things. So there is always going to be a gap in which what you actually want to teach as a teacher than what is actually available in the internet. So this gap you do need to know it does exist. So if you know how to fill that gap, then you can actually make use of that material. Otherwise, even though the information is available on the net, then it is very difficult for us to make use of it. And this is the most important point, like, because in India we have plenty of languages. So if you are teaching your population, say for example, in the North India, if you take, you are teaching to the population in Hindi, and if many materials are in English and the students find it difficult to follow, then this is the major challenge, because even though the materials and resources are available in the internet free of cost, but since they are in a different language which the student cannot follow, then that is one of the barrier. And currently, the government of India is actually looking into, if you look at a couple of days before some of the news reports, and even our Education Minister Dr. Nishant Pokhriyal had said, like, they are going to start lots of courses in the regional languages. So this is one of the reasons, like, since many materials are available in a different language, our local populations, or especially the students, are finding it difficult. So this is a major challenge when we are going to use the open educational resources. And I'll also be talking about the CC, that is the Creative Commons licenses. So this is very, very important thing, because without knowing the Creative Commons license, you cannot actually use the open educational resources, because say for example, there are 6 different licenses are there. And if you are wrongly using any of the licenses, then it is going to create lots of problems. So this is the most important thing I was talking about earlier also. So this consumes a lot of time in identifying the right material. So by simply typing on a topic, you may not get the right resources or the right information which you actually want to share with the students. So this does require a lot of time in searching. So you do need to optimize the search by which, like, maybe in half an hour's time, if you can get that information, that is really great. There are various websites which are available where experts discuss about many things. So you do need to know what are the expert sites where I should go and exactly get that information very quickly. Unless by doing multiple research, maybe searches and other things, it does take time. Maybe, for example, if you are actually using internet on a regular basis for more than a year or two, then you know, like, okay, what are all the things available and how you can do the effective searching. So people call that as a search engine optimization is also available. So some of these, if you're a computer science person, you can also write some scripts and web crawling, and there are various other information retrieval systems are available. If you can become an expert in any of this area, then getting material for your class becomes much easier. But again, that requires lots of efforts from the teacher side. And of course, you are not going to be lucky all the time, because if your syllabus has, say, for example, 25 different topics, you may be getting like maybe 8 to 10 topics which are freely available in open educational resources, but remaining 15 or 20 topics may not be available. So we do need to have little bit luck in getting the right open educational resource to be used in our classroom teaching. Yeah, that's what material may not be available in all topics. And when we have to use OER, what we need to do is we need to check the quality and the authenticity of the material. This is the foremost important point, because after sharing, you cannot come and say that, no, I didn't know that, I am so sorry. Like those kind of excuses cannot be given, because if you are violating any copyright, this is going to come back very strongly on you. So you have to make sure that you are not sharing any information which is copyright protected. That is a violation. And you also need to check the Creative Commons licenses if they exist. And we do need to check for the relevancy, that as a teacher, you know already how to do that. And here I'll be talking about some of the open educational resources. The first one is the EPG Parsala. So this is from the Government of India. So this website actually talks about lots of UG and PG courses for the students. So here you can actually go and visit this website and get lots of information about what are the courses that are available there. So it has video lectures, it has reading materials, it also has some quizzes and evaluation components. So if you are talking or if you are teaching a particular paper, and if that paper is available on that website, then these are created by the Government of India funding. So it is freely available for you. It's an open educational resource. You can use it in your classroom teaching. And then we also have a National Repository for Open Educational Resources, NROER. So here again, you will get lots of information. I'll just go through some of the websites, what are the materials that are available. So here you have in the next couple of slides, I will talk about more about that. Then eShow Sindhu is again a resource where students submit their thesis and other cases. So this is mainly useful for the higher education faculties. So then we have the National Digital Library. So here again, various subjects papers are available. You can actually go through that. And the CEC has a TV channel. So in this TV channel, you have various teaching learning materials that are available. Then Oscar is mainly for a chemistry simulation. It was done by IIT Bombay. It was a little bit older software, but if you want to show animations, because this is pretty good for showing some of the BSc first year or second year like animations like nucleophilic substitution reactions or maybe addition reactions. So some simple reactions, how they are actually happening. So animations are available. So this you can actually use it for your classroom teaching. And this is the National Digital Library of India. So in the engineering, you have various subjects are available: aerospace, architecture, chemical engineering, civil engineering. So you can click on any of the web page, and then you will be taken to that web page. And there, various. I'll just show some of the things here we have about the science subjects. Some of the science subjects are given here. Humanities subjects are given here, and literature, and law and management. So if you go to that corresponding website, you can actually see more information about what are freely available. And this is CEC's YouTube channel. So here you have arts and science literature. If you look at the number of videos here, we have around in English 112 videos are there, because these are other playlists. And for Hindi subject, we have 171, and music, film appreciation, history, and subject-wise, if you want to go for the social science, you have geography, social science, philosophy, psychology, sociology, and you also have management and other courses, natural and applied sciences like physics, chemistry, life sciences, biotechnology. So this website gives you lots of recorded video lectures, and this it is free for you to use. And of course, music and Hindi are the different subjects which are available. And this is the one you can talk about. I have been talking about the open source software. So this FOSI is basically the project like free, liber, or open source software for education. So there are various softwares are available which are very specific for a particular work. And mainly if you talk about C-Lab. So the C-Lab is mainly a open source software for numerical computation. So this is if you are going to use about some calculations, then you can actually use this particular software. This is free. Open Office is another free or open software. Google Docs, Google Slides, and Google Sheets are some of the open source things available for you. Whereas if you talk about Microsoft, Microsoft is a paid version. Even though they say Microsoft 365 education is a free one, of course the college or the university should take the subscription. It is again a subscription based one. It is not a free one. Whereas Google Docs or Google Slides and those kind of things, they are free. So any teacher, because many of the teachers are currently using Google Classroom for their classroom teaching learning, online teaching learning activities. So that again is available free. That's again, we cannot say as an open educational resource, but it is free to use. So Python is again a general purpose language which is free to use. eSIM, OSTag, DWSIM. So these are some of the open source. Here it is a chemical process simulator. And basically, if you're talking about here, they talked about thermodynamics and the unit operational modes. For chemical engineering students, you can actually use this software and they can actually give some input data and get the output, and it's free to use. This Autodesk, Maya, and a few other softwares are free for educational purpose. And you can also make use of those free to use educational purpose, but they are paid versions. Commercial versions are paid one. As long as you are using it for MATLAB has educational license also. Some of these things are basically given at a much cheaper price compared to the commercial one. Whereas these softwares are absolutely free. So you can go to this foci.in website and look for any of the softwares which is actually required for you. You can actually use it. So this open foam is fluid flows involving chemical reactions, turbulence, heat transfer. So this is mainly for the mechanical students and the chemical engineering students. They can make use of this particular software. The eSIM is basically for the PCB design. So electronics and instrumentation type students can make use of this particular software. So this is OSDAG is mainly a 3D visualization or a graphical user interface. So this can be used for creating animations, maybe by the computer science students or maybe for the instrumentation students. So many different types of students can make use of these kind of softwares. As a teacher, you can actually tell your students, okay, download the software and explore it. And you can also, if you are interested, you can also create a course around this particular software, how to use it as in your practical classes. So that is also possible. So these are open free educational resources available for you to use. And then OpenPLC, CLab, Arduino, and SBHS. R is a statistical language which you can freely use. QGIS, like this is a geographic information system. Mainly those who are working in aerospace engineering and similar areas can make use of this. So these are some of the softwares which are developed using the government funding. So it is free for you to use. And when we talk about MHRD's initiative, MHRD had done a lot of work, especially the Swayam MOOC courses which are free to use, and the Swayam Prabha TV channel. So these are all the two areas I have been mainly focusing on, and NPTEL courses and BS channels are some of the other resources where we can get a lot of educational materials. So the mhrd.gov.in/ICT initiative is a website where you can actually get more information about what are all the websites and what they do, and what are the type of institutions which can make use of these resources. See, this Shodh Ganga is basically a reservoir of Indian thesis. So every student who is submitting their thesis is actually given here. So if some faculty wants to know about a particular topic, and if some student had actually done a thesis on that, then they can actually get access to those theses. And basically in a thesis, many times people do a thorough literature search. So In a single place, you will get all the relevant information without going or without searching the entire net for all the bits and pieces of information. So this also helps the teacher to narrow down like what is the resources they actually have to look into. So these are some of the informations available at your fingertips. And there are other informations given here, so we can just go through that. And now the next question I told earlier is why OER, if OER is available so easily, so freely, why people are reluctant to use it? Or, I mean, why is it not so popular? The major reason is like moral and ethical dilemma. The problem is, as a teacher, you always think like you want to create your own resources to share with the students. You think like if I get some information from the internet, or if I share some information which is freely available on the internet, then the students will start thinking, hey, this teacher is not doing any work. He simply asks us to go and read the thing on the internet, but why I am paying the fees, college fees, why I have to pay the college fees? I can directly get this information from the internet. Then wow, why the teacher has to do all these things? Like that, the student may ask questions. So these are all the dilemma the teacher will be having. So in that case, as a teacher, do I really need to share this information with the students? Because they will think me in a very different way. Then how do I will get a very bad reputation telling that all the students will complain to the department telling that, oh, this teacher is giving me all the information from the internet. He is not teaching anything directly. So these are all the dilemma, moral and ethical dilemma the teacher is having. And this is a major hurdle which prevents the teacher from actually effectively using the open educational resources. So how to solve this problem? The simple problem is you create your own lectures, you create your own notes, and you do everything on your own. But use the open educational resources as a supplement to your classroom teaching learning activities. Don't give that as the main thing for the students, but give that as a supplement thing for the students, so that the students also feel, yeah, the teacher is putting a lot of effort. Along with that, he also is more concerned about my progress, my growth. So that is why he is giving me additional information. Of course, you can also tell if you are from autonomous or deemed university, or maybe in a university where you conduct your own examinations, you can tell, okay, whatever the open educational resources, I am not going to ask questions from that. That is only for your educational learning purpose only. And the syllabus, whatever we are going to cover, will come from the notes what I create or I give it to you. So that way you can actually make a clear demarcation between how to use the open educational resources and how beneficial it is going to be the students, as well as they are not going to be bogged down by reading those and going to write the examination for their credits. So this way we can actually differentiate between how to effectively use the open educational resources for our classroom teaching learning activities. And then there is lack of awareness. Of course, this is a major hurdle. Like people don't know where or how to find the information. These are all the, see, if it is given, I am ready to use it. I have no problem in that, but I really don't know where it is available. How do I get it? So these are all the two major questions that comes to the mind. So the lack of awareness is another hurdle. And the next one is we are not properly trained to use OER. Then now the question is, what is the training that is required to use OER? OER means it is freely available. Then why should I be trained to use that OER? Now we will be talking about the Creative Commons licenses, where we will be discussing about why we need the training. Training in a sense, not to that, like, I mean, you have to go undergo like 1 month training or other thing, but at least you should be knowing what are the basic minimum requirements that should be known to you before you start using open educational resources. And non-availability of access to OER. So this is again for many colleges, what happens is like they are not subscribed to many of the journals and other things. So that means they don't have access. The same way, many colleges may not even have a dedicated internet connection, and they may be having sometimes the internet will come, sometimes the internet may not be there. The bandwidth may be very slow. very low. That's why the downloading and uploading is going to be very slow. So there are some limitations which are available, especially the infrastructural support the faculty can get from the organization may be limited. So that is where we call that as a non-availability of access to the OER. And of course, unless this COVID-19 lockdown was present, people are not even worried about what is online education or digital education. So that is also one of the reason it is not popular. So now only people started looking into digital education. Now maybe in a few years down the line, OER become popular. And availability of digital network is limited to few institutions. This is again very similar to this one, non-availability of access and availability of digital network. These two go hand in hand. Like, I mean, unless the organization spends a lot of money, people may not be having access to the available digital networks. So that actually prevents them from even knowing what exists rather than even using it. When you don't even know that that exists, how can you use it? So that is the reason the organization should enable the digital networks for all the faculty members so that they can access the internet and get more information which can be shared openly. Again, the training, when I talked about properly on OER, this is basically related to awareness of different licenses. So the training is essentially required in this particular area. And fear of losing reputation, that's what I said in the beginning also. Like, I mean, if most of the information is shared through the internet or the open educational resources, then the students will actually put a bad name about that faculty member. So fear of losing a reputation is also another major hurdle. Because of these reasons, OER is not so popular among the faculty members, but you can actually take a balanced view. Then you can reduce your workload by actually using various open educational resources in your teaching learning process. And when we come to India specifically, we don't have financial resources to develop OER because hardly some people devote their time to develop open educational resources, because when we say open educational resource, it has to be shared with other people freely. And how many of us will be willing to do that? Because we will say, like, I mean, I put a lot of effort in creating this. Why should I have to share it? Even with the students, we have very limited times we want to share. So because nobody is supporting you, if somebody is supporting you, say for example, we created a massive open online course because the government supported us. On the other hand, if somebody is coming and asking, okay, Balaji, go and create a course and give it free to all the people, then I will ask the next question. First of all, do you have any financial support which you are going to give me for creating the course? No. Are you going to at least give some time for me, because I am actually employed? So when I am employed, how do I get time for these kind of extra activities? They will say, no, 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 you have a weekend or you may be having some other holidays, so try use the time to create this. So if somebody comes and tells me that you create something for which you are not going to be paid, but then you are asked to even freely share it with others, how willing you are going to do that? So this is a big question. So that is one of the reasons, like many people are reluctant to venture into the OER simply because the rewards has to be paid for their hard work. They don't have to make money from using or giving others to use that software or maybe the open educational resource, but at least for creating, they should be supported. So this is one of the major reasons. So lack of financial resources is one of the hurdle for developing OER. And use of OER is seen as a lack of commitment to teaching. So that is also there. So if something is freely available, then the college, see, if you are going to use open educational resource, then you are not actually going to spend a lot of time creating the materials. So the administrators will come and see you sitting idle because you are using open educational resources, and the students are actually getting enough information through the open educational resources. So you don't have to do anything. What you have to do, you simply get that resource and share it with the students. So you are free to do whatever you want. So in that case, the administration will come and see you sitting in your lab or sitting in your desk doing nothing because you are actually shared everything with the students. So they will say, no, 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 this person is not committed. He is not doing any work. But unfortunately, you are using OER and the students are also happy using that OER. But it is seen very differently from the administration. So that is where people take it in a very wrong sense. So that is also another problem. And many do not want to share their notes openly with others. Yeah, this is also the, like, I mean, I put a lot of effort in creating this. Why should I have to share it with others? So this is a common mindset which many people are having. I don't say that is a wrong thing because we are not so generous to share many of the things with others. So that is our human nature. And in that time you come and tell that no, no, whatever notes you have created, okay, you share with the entire college or maybe entire city or maybe entire country. So then people start asking, why should I have to do it? I have put a lot of efforts. I have spent so much time on creating these things. Why should I have to share it with others? Even with my own students, I will tell them, okay, you write down the notes because I put effort the same way you also put effort because you are the one who is going to study. So this is a common mindset which the people will be having. So that is nothing wrong in it. So this is one of the reasons why OER is not popular in India. And then we have establishing various resources are quite expensive. Yeah, that is true. That's what we talked about, the financial resources in the beginning. So if you are going to create open educational resource, say for example, you want to create a video lecture, then you do need a camera. You need some room to do the recording. You need a couple of editing softwares. You need various other things which are very essential for developing this materials. So that means all this resource development requires lots of money, and who is going to pay for that? So this is also one of the hurdle. And then major thing is our Indian language. So I can create in English because I am fluent in English, or maybe I am from South, so I will create in one or two South Indian languages. I am not from North India, so I cannot speak fluently Hindi. So in that case, how can I make it? So these are again the major hurdle we are having in India, that creating OER in different languages is a major challenge. Of course, this is the real problem we are having. Why people are not involved in OER production. So we know that these are all the limitations, but why as an individual I am not doing? Because lack of time and lack of resources, lack of skill, and maybe I wouldn't say lack of skill because it does require some time to develop that skill. So, but for developing that skill, you need time, you need resources. When these two things are not at all available, then obviously the skill development is going to take a back seat. So that is the reason, like if you don't have enough time or if you don't have the resources, then developing OER is going to be a big challenge. And then, of course, rewards, like what are the rewards I'm going to get if I develop an OER? So then finally, the support from the organization. So these are the various limitations due to which an individual is a little bit skeptical in creating OER. So I don't say that this is right or this is wrong, but these are all the real challenges that are being faced by individuals. So we do need to take a balanced approach and try to help others. If you are going to help others, then you also need to find some time, and of course, whatever the resources, the minimum. See, the Indians, we follow something called the Jugaad. So even though the resources are not available, if you know how to do the Jugaad, then you can actually effectively do that. In that case, you can easily develop the skills and forget about the rewards, because rewards is only the recognitions what you get. So you will not be given any financial rewards, but at least you will get a societal recognition that, oh, this teacher had done an excellent job. So that is what we are actually looking for as a teacher, because teaching is basically a thankless job. So when we are doing a thankless job, why do we need rewards? I wouldn't say that you should not be looking at rewards as the main objective, but rewards will come. Don't worry about that. Like, I mean, if you are actually dedicated person and you are committed to work, obviously rewards are going to come, but don't work towards the rewards. Then that is what is the major problem. So of course, once you do these things, obviously the support will come slowly. So don't worry. we can actually dedicate some time into OER production, maybe some 30 minutes per day if you are just spending. That itself is sufficient. So in a week, 5 days are there. You could easily spend 2.5 hours per week. So in a month, if you look at that is going to be 10 hours per month. 10 hours per month is a really good time. So if that way you slowly develop, then obviously you can also do contribute to the OER production very effectively. And now you can actually look at the original and the remake. So this is what is a major thing, like OER. When we say if you are going to remake something, this is the original movie, that Avai Shanmugi, which came in Tamil, and this is Chachi Chaso Bees, which came in Hindi. So if you compare between these two movies, a person who knows Hindi as well as this local language, they can very well tell like this original is the best option. And of course, Chachi Charso Bees is somewhat okay. I mean, it was also equally good, but you will not get the originality of what it is done in this first movie. So always, whenever we are copying something from the original, so that is what we say, if the OER material is available for you to copy, the original will always be the much better one compared to the copy whatever we are making. And again, this another movie from Kamal Haasan, this Moonram Bere or Hindi, they had taken it in Sadma. So if you look at these two movies again, you will see the difference. Although the actors and the languages are the only thing which is different. It is Kamal Sridevi movie again. But the originality of the Moonram Bere in Tamil is far better or maybe far different compared to the movie in Hindi. So this is what the problem in the OER also. The original will always going to be much better than the remake or the other things we are going to take. Again, if you are going to do the dubbing rather than the remake, it's only the language that is being changed. So in that case, the lip synchronization, if you are looking at very carefully, is a major challenge you have to look at. So that means the dialogues are not going to be exactly the same in the original version and the dubbed version. And if you look at another movie, this Bahubali movie, there again, they put a lot of effort for the lip synchronization. But again, the original, whatever the song they have taken, that is the pure one, and the other one is the modified one. So how you can actually, ma'am, what is the time now?
Sir, it's 12:56.
Okay, do we have a few more minutes or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, because I haven't given time for the discussion part also, so we'll just go through very quickly. And
Okay,
these
sir.
are some of the ways how you can actually contribute to the OER creation. So you can host material in public domain or release material through OER and share it freely with others. And we will talk about some of the licenses. Basically, the Creative Commons licenses. Very quickly, I will talk about. One is free license, GNU. This J called like a general public license. This is mainly used for the software developments, and the Creative Commons licenses are basically this gives rights to use an image without credit, but you should always give credit to any work that isn't yours. And we will see there are different CC0 or CC0 they call it. Like here, you don't have to even give the credit to that person. CC BY is a basic license. So here, this allows you to distribute, remix, adapt, build upon material, blah, blah, blah. Literally what we can do is you can actually use it freely. You can modify, you can do whatever you want with this particular license, CC BY. That is what they say. The only thing what is required is this license required credit. So the credit must be given. So that is what is the only thing required for this particular license. And the next one is CC BY SA. So SA means share alike. So share alike means you can actually use this material and you can change it. That means remix it, adapt it, distribute it, and build upon and do whatever you want. And everything is permitted. Only thing you have to share it the same way like how you received it from the first place. So this is the only thing you can do. So again, CC BY means we have to give credit to which place we have actually taken it. And then comes the commercial licenses. So NC means basically non-commercial licenses. So this is permitted. That means you are allowed to distribute, remix, adapt, and do everything. But what you do not do is you cannot commercialize this particular license. So if you commercialize any CC by NC license, then you are liable to be paying the damages. Somebody can sue you for using this particular one. And then the next one is CC by NC NA. That means you have to know commercial things, and as well as you have to share it also. So that means whatever material you are taking from here, you are permitted to distribute, remix, adapt, you do anything, but it should be for the non-commercial purpose, and you also need to share it with others. So these are all the other additional restrictions put on this particular license. Then comes the ND, that means no derivative. So what you are permitted is you can only copy and distribute. You can simply copy paste, control V, control C, control V only. You cannot modify, you cannot edit, you cannot change, you cannot commercialize, you cannot do anything on this particular license. So this is a little bit a difficult one. And if you go to CC by NC and ND, then you cannot even commercialize it. So this is the most difficult part in that license. So if you are using any of this material, you have to be extremely careful because you are not permitted to remix, you are not permitted to change, you are not permitted to commercialize. You can only use it as it is. Nothing else can be done here. So these are all the various Creative Commons licenses. And this is where the pictorial diagram what you can actually use it. So now I will give you a little bit different thing about how we can actually effectively use OER. So this is the original source. Ma'am, somebody is having their phone on. Can they mute it, please?
I request to please mute. I request all the faculty members to please mute.
So this is the original license which was available. Okay, this website from where I have taken this image, and this is the image where they have given what is a public domain, what is CC by SA, ND, and all those details they are given. So what they are permitted also is given here. So here, this is how they have created in the original source, which I am permitted to modify. So this is the one which is the modified version which I have actually put or created. So now this is free for me. I can even commercialize this one because although I have taken it from a public domain which is available, I have actually modified it. I have changed many of the things, and they have used the tick symbol. I have changed it to a icon. So this is, and they have put the copy and publish. I have changed the title as edit and the site. So this way, if you can actually modify the original information, because this is the original information, from that I have made this particular thing for my presentation. So that means I am free to use it. I am free to share it. And if I have to share it, I can also put CC by NC or CC by SA or whatever license I want. I can actually put it on this particular image and I can share it with others. So this is how we can actually do it or contribute to OER. And this is the original image which was available in the Wikipedia website. And I have modified it with this image. So you can actually take it, and I have used it for my classroom teaching and other things. So what I did was I changed the colors basically, and then some of the things I retained, but I have added additional information to this particular image. So this is what you are actually doing it. And once, if this is CC by SA, if you look at the license here, it is a CC by SA. In other words, when you take this image, I am supposed to share this information alike with others also, because I am permitted to make changes, I am permitted to make modifications. I am also required to share it. So your permitted is different, your required is different. So here, whenever we see the word SA, I have to, it is absolutely necessary for me to share it with other people also. So this is what I am doing. So when I create this image, I will also put the same CC by SA on this one, so that any other person who is using this should also share it with others, and they also can modify if they required. So this way we can also contribute to OER creations and other things. And so this is what, if someone uses only one image in his or her lecture from OER, are they supposed to share only that image or their entire material? So this is a question you will be having. And if someone violates the CC violence, who is going to catch, and is there any punishment? So these are some of the questions which are very difficult to answer. If you are caught, yes, you will have to pay the fine or whatever the punishment. As long as you are not caught, then you are escaping. That is what. So always there is a pinch of salt. You have to keep in mind that, okay, doing any violation, copyright violation is prone to, because in the open world, you are going to share with somebody, and that somebody may forward it to the original resource person. We don't know. If that happens, then the original person can come back to you and ask that why did you use it without the required licenses. Then you are liable to all this lawsuits, whatever is there. You have to face the tune, because there is no excuse for that. You cannot say that no, I am not aware of this. I don't know. The only thing what you can do is like, okay, I will remove it from my website. That is what you can. The worst case you can do, but it is a bad reputation for you, so it is better avoid it. If someone does not mention who here, is it ethically and morally correct, who is going to find out? Yeah, that's what I said. Like, there are various moral questions are there, which is individual's choice how they are going to do it. And copyright and trademarks are something like copyright mainly focuses on the commercial aspect. OER focuses on free or no cost access. Creative Commons license address this conflict. So that is the major things between copyrights and trademarks. And so I think with that we can conclude today's session. So by any questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Hina Pahaba. In the last slide, the first point that you mentioned, that if I use any image from OER, then do I need to share that image only or the entire lecture? What is the answer to that,
Yes.
sir?
The answer is really like if you are using only one image, you have to only do that.
Okay.
Yeah, because you don't have to share the entire thing, because the entire thing is created by you. So why you have to share it with others? When
Of
others
course.
have not given anything to you, why should you give to others? So this is a common mindset, and you are
Yeah.
perfectly fine not to share it.
Yeah. That's and one more thing, sir. This is not a question, just a thing that I want to like discuss. That in my perspective, OER cannot completely replace the direct teaching. Like it
Absolutely
can
true. You
be,
are absolutely
yeah,
true. You are absolutely true.
yeah, because it can be used as a tool along with the teaching.
Yeah,
I'm
supplement.
telling
It's
this
a
by my,
supplement.
yeah, yeah. That's what, like, I'm telling this by my experience in last few months due to this online teaching because of COVID. So we are sharing online available tools, open tools, but then only sharing them with the students is not sufficing.
Yeah, that is what is the major challenge. See, because we are, first of all, you do need to identify the right resource. That is a major challenge, and it requires lots of time and effort from your side to identify that. Unless we could get the right resource, it's not going to be possible for us to even share it. So, and as a teacher, like, I mean, I wouldn't recommend that you 100% follow OER, but you can contribute to OER. That is what I am always telling to the people. Like, I mean, you contribute to the OER, use help your colleagues. So that way we can actually do, I mean, little bit small work, whatever we can do, but don't rely 100% on the OER.
Thank you, sir.
Because there is,
Thank you, sir. It was a, yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that's what.
So
Thank you so much, sir. The content that you delivered was really, it was very helpful for me.
Okay, thank you, sir, for this informative session and making us understand more about open education resources. And I'd also like to thank all the faculty members for joining us. Our next session will start at 2:30 p.m. I also request all the faculty members to kindly share the feedback by clicking on the link that is shared in the message box. The attendance is also being monitored to the feedback according to the feedback that is shared by you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.